Hi, Yoshiki-san. Thank you for
Hi,
being
Levi.
here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So I've seen your posts on LinkedIn more recently, and I wanted to reach out and have this conversation to understand a bit more about yourself and what you're doing. I know front office recruitment, judging by what I've seen at my past company at Shahani, it's one of the most cutthroat, hardcore areas out there, and you're someone who's been doing it for, a very long time as a veteran. So happy to have you on this podcast. And first of all, I just want to ask you what originally brought you into this world of recruitment.
I think, just like many of us, it was by chance. I was in between a period that I had my own financial service business, and it didn't quite fly as high as I imagined to. And also, I lost my father back then, and I wasn't quite sure what I should do for the next chapter of my life. And the man called David Moffat, Scottish guy, who actually sent me a message. Would you like to be interested to talk about the recruitment? So it was a coincidence by chance, really.
Hmm. And then, so you joined by chance, but did you start off in front office recruitment?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the truth is we didn't have any client, any candidate, so could be anything, but the our focus was the front office, and I joined at the front office banking.
Hmm. Did you find that it was kind of shocking for you when you first joined there, or did you feel like, this is awesome, this is what you expected, or how was that?
Well, I didn't exactly know what to expect. I wasn't grew up to become a recruiter, you know,
Hmm.
and I was on the other end when I was working with the bank. I spoke with the recruiter in the past, but I'm genuinely surprised the recruiter has, put it this way, more autonomy and less structured.
Hmm.
So I actually did like the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things when I was recruited to become a recruiter was I could do the business in a golf course. I mean, recruitment doesn't really require to be in the office every day, and that was quite refreshing from my
Hmm.
perspective.
Hmm. So you're able to get out on the golf course and just close some deals, and that's something that has kept you in the industry for this long, or what
Well,
do you think has kept
actually,
you here?
that's never happened, but the reality is when you're traveling to Okinawa in the beach, or you're in Friday night with your mate at the pub in Roppongi, you can still close the deal. That much is true.
Hmm. What do you think differentiates you and what you bring to the table versus all the maybe the other recruiters that are out there?
I think the one of the biggest differences is I can screen the candidate for the clients better than my competition. And I never go for the numbers game. So clients actually trust me that the if I recommend someone should be good. Or
Hmm.
maybe I can talk the language they speak. I think that's the difference.
Hmm. I mean, you're not just a newbie who's on the scene, you're someone who's been in the industry, you've known the in and outs. When we were speaking, you were mentioning a lot of names. So clearly, very well connected as well, it sounds like, and you know who's good.
Yeah, recruitment is very small community in Tokyo, despite this is a very big city. And if you do long enough, you come across with the people
Mm.
really easy.
Hmm. And I mean, you've been doing it now. How long have you been in the industry for?
I joined the industry in 2004, so this is going to be number 21.
21. Okay. And recently you've been showing up more on LinkedIn as well. Can you talk maybe a little bit about some of the changes that you've made over the past 20 years and maybe most recently?
Okay, first of all, when I joined 2004, no one was using LinkedIn. Maybe they existed somewhere in California, but and two, the not many people actually have the email functions or not even a short message in the phone. So when I talk to the people or finding the people, that was a purely on headhunting, not through the message in LinkedIn like today. So that was a big difference.
Hmm.
Luckily, I don't need to headhunt anyone in a fax machine, but
And then most recently, have you made any changes? Are you mostly messaging people on LinkedIn these days? Are you?
well, it's a combination. But I think for the candidate point of the view, they would like to screen who you are before they make a commitment to meet you or contact you. So
Hmm.
establishing your personal branding in the LinkedIn is very important nowadays. That's a big change.
Hmm. And I see a lot of people that, and you mentioned this as well, maybe focusing on more of the native Japanese speakers and this domestic market, I think, especially, I mean, the bilinguals obviously are going to be key, but less so the foreigners maybe these days. It seems like there's a trend kind of in needing the native
Well,
Japanese.
the I would say client perspective, a lot of my clients are non-Japanese, and
Hmm,
sometimes they're not even based in Tokyo, could be based in New
interesting.
York, London, and so on.
Hmm,
But the client needs Japanese people because they want to make money in here in the Tokyo market. That's
hmm,
why I'm supplying the Japanese candidate.
hmm,
So I would say that half of my clients are non-Japanese, but
hmm.
at least 90% of the people I place is more on the Japanese in this market.
Interesting. And so people that you're looking for your team, do they need to have Japanese ability?
Nice to have.
Okay. So nice, but not must have.
I must have is because the a lot of the client the cases the clients want someone Japanese speaks English, and the best way to screen the language capability is someone speaks to you in English.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. We used to do this in our old firm as well. I could use Japanese, but they were like telling me to use English just to help to screen out who is actually
Yeah,
able to speak. Uh, I have a question about sourcing those Japanese candidates because, I mean, maybe you have a unique perspective on this because you are also Japanese. But is there anything like that you would say is a tip for people that are having a difficult time to maybe build a relationship or even open the door to some of these Japanese candidates?
I think there is no magic to get it done easily because I heard my colleagues in the Sydney office pretty much in that market, if you ask the 10 candidate, 8 candidate actually go for the coffee. Here is
Mm,
the exact reverse on the ratio.
mm-hmm,
Obviously, when we talk about in the headhunting or the purely phone perspective, the we emphasize on the voice tone. You don't want to feel too nervous when you're making a headhunting call to the candidate. So the voice tone is something we actually talked about it. But beyond that, only thing I could say is that each candidate, you may want to customize your approach.
Hmm.
People are not stupid. Find out, you know, this is the same email you sent to the 100 other people type. At least you
Mm-hmm.
should customize a bit.
Hmm. Yeah, the service, I guess, aspect maybe is something that Japan is known, right, for good customer service. Or
Yeah.
if you're not offering this kind of service level as you're approaching them, then you're not likely to offer that same service level when you're introducing them a job, or when you have to negotiate the salary for them, etc. So I guess this is part of building trust here.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen overnight too. I
Mm,
think the local candidate probably takes more time to gaining the trust than the other market.
mm,
At first, I heard the stories.
mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah, this is in my experience. I remember getting on a call when I was in my first year of recruitment, and it took me 3 years, generally 3 years, until I could place that person. Sometimes it would be 1 year, like a little bit earlier, but usually after a headhunt meeting, it would take anywhere from 1 to 3 years to build up enough of a trust with them, and also kind of have their mindset shift, like I'm really ready for it, to go. So I don't know if that's the same in your experience, or if front office moves a bit faster.
Well, not really. I mean, because the nowadays probably it's shortened the time, but still the old lifetime employment mentality among the Japanese candidate is still there, and it's
Mm,
very difficult for someone to convince from the comfort zone to try to do something different.
mm. What kind of advice would you give to candidates or clients out there? I guess the candidates that are wondering, should I make a move or not? How do they know if it's a good timing, and all these things?
Always there's a two sides of the story, so I'm trying to play pros and the cons as objective as possible. And also, many of the candidates thinking about the pros and cons is just waiting to someone to push them to make a final decision. They probably already know the answer, but I guess they just need a push sometime.
Hmm. So kind of giving them the facts, and then gently nudging them in this direction, and
Yeah,
then if they're resisting, then gently nudging them in that direction.
yeah, I think the many cases objectively the candidate knows what would be the right decision. Otherwise, they don't talk to you. But
Hmm.
it's just jumping into the fear of the unknown is
Mm-hmm.
the factor prevent them to move.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. And for yourself, I know that you mentioned maybe hiring for the team. Would you look for someone who has experience in recruitment, who is wanting to change their environment, or are you more interested in hiring someone who is totally fresh and new to the industry?
I'm open for the both cases, but the each agency is different and each team is different. But the I tend to like the people on the homegrown talent, means joined at the very junior associate consultant level and moving up to the ranks is
Mm,
my preference
gotcha.
because the area I'm recruit is very time consuming and it's frustrating for someone to join in the industry new. And in my area, the from job one to placement, the average is more than 3 months easily.
Mm,
So that is one reason that the you may wanna fine tuning your craft and learn the industry before you actually getting to talk with the big boys in the market.
I mean, some of those front office people can be pretty
Yeah,
scary, intimidating to talk to, I would say.
yeah,
And they can tell if you're new.
yeah.
Okay. And what kind of person would you say would be a good fit for your team?
I think personality point of view, you could be any kind of personality. There is no one formula to be successful in this industry. But I tend to like people in the edge.
Hmm.
Well, no articulate way, but people I like is the people confident with a high self-esteem and at least good at something, not necessarily on recruitment or anything, but that's someone I like.
Hmm. So someone who's already excelled at something, even if it's rock climbing, maybe, or if
Yeah,
it's
could be anything.
anything, but they're passionate about something and they've excelled at it.
Yeah. Well, you're excellent in the skiing or say like you're DJing or
Mm-hmm.
you're semi-professional chef
Mm-hmm.
or you play for national team on something like a ping pong or it could be anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. And why should someone join your team? What do you think is unique, I guess, or a selling point about joining your team or even maybe Morgan McKinley as a firm?
Well, as a farm, I think it's a good combination of the global franchise and more smaller collegiate environment.
Mm,
Particularly for the area I work, a lot of my client, actually banking client, require the regional contract or the our presence in the major key financial cities, and that is only the global fund could catering on those needs. And plus the flexibility allows me to do my own thing because my clients or the banking clients in general hate someone send a bunch of the CVs for the sake of the KPIs because they don't
mm,
have a time to look at those
mm,
CVs and they expect someone who can step in and advise you to why you should take a look on a certain candidate profile. And other than the flexibility we have, that is very difficult. So the two combination of the global presence and the flexibility.
mm. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, your clients are quite demanding, I would say, and they're expecting a certain level of service, and it's easy to stand out if you're providing that, and you don't have to go send a million CVs because it's your KPI. So it sounds like you've kind of cracked
Yeah.
that code well.
And, I don't mean to brag, but you can learn from the best. I have the two directors on the team who actually is the category killer, mean the probably the biggest in the market share in one area is the corporate banking, and another area is the fintech. So you can learn from the best, really.
Sorry, I think I lost you. You were saying category killers?
Yeah, so I have a best recruiters in fintech and corporate banking. The category killer is they actually have a biggest market share within the corporate banking recruitment and the fintech recruitment. So you can learn
Hmm,
from the best.
nice. Excuse me. Excellent. And then for you on the kind of personal side of things, what do you do in your free time?
Yeah, I like to see movies and I also like music too. And because I guess the I like the pop culture in general. It's actually a good conversation opener in many things.
Is there anything specific?
I actually do like Marvel movies,
Mm-hmm.
you know, cheesy ones. And
Mm-hmm.
I actually do like music in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I like the era of the one-hit wonders.
Uh-huh. What's a good song that you like?
Okay. Well, for example, for the best shower music point of view, I would recommend Human League's Don't You Want Me, for example.
Mm.
And I like, say, like Flock of Seagulls, I Run.
That's a
Literally,
great
that's the
one.
real one-hit wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, these are the type of the music, I actually adore.
Haha. Nice. Yeah, those are great. Those are great songs. Beautiful. And do you have anything else, I guess, to share with the audience at all?
Well, recruitment, you don't need to have any specific skills. Like my team, other than myself, no one actually had a banking experience. But it's like a foreign language, industry jargons you can learn.
Hmm.
It's just your willingness to learn. That's all it counts.
Hmm.
And this is actually it's a beautiful business as long as you're successful, I would say. And because the you can control your time, which is very difficult for other industry to do. And also, many of us are working in a commission business, so that means more you could make a money for the farm, more you could make a money for yourself, which is
Hmm.
attractive. But also, flip side of the coin is this is not a 9 to 5 business, and you have to be ready for that. I think I still remember my first training in the industry is called 11 hours a day. And there is a breakdown of the how many hours you should spend for which task, like you
Hmm.
doing a business development or sending CV or talking to the candidate and so on. So it does take some effort and a passion from you.
Yeah. And having a structure and a team and maybe a leader who has seen the ins and outs, right, and the successes and failures of different
Yeah.
recruiters is probably very valuable. So, thank you for sharing this. Um, Anything else that you wanted to say?
Well, I would say the if you're ever interested in recruitment, just talk to one of them. And we're all human, and a
Hmm.
lot of the interesting characters in the industry. And also, each company is so different, and always you should see what would be the best fit or the chemistry for you.
Hmm. Yeah, having more conversations is always, I think, where this starts. So, I'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile, and people can reach out to you if they're interested to hear any more. Um, and yeah, I much appreciate you coming on to talk with us, Yoshiki-san.
Yeah, was a pleasure.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
All right.